we have another discussion to get through. Talking about Palpatine. We've already been talking about Palpatine. We've still been talking about Palpatine.
Yep.
But we want to talk about our favorite Palpatine.
We're going to talk about the favorite Sheev moments.
Favorite Sheev moments.
Top 5.
Darth
Sidious.
I'm leaving this one number
2.
two.
It's not on my list, but I always love when in the Siege of Mandalore arc and Maul can't even say the name. Darth Sidious. Yeah.
I was like, he's coming for us!
I always love that.
He's afraid of it all. And everything.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. I got 5 moments and no alternates, so I hope you haven't taken any of mine.
I have 6 things written, and I guarantee there's some of these that are the same as yours.
Well,
they have to be.
I'll go
first.
There's
I know a lot of Palpatine moments.
Yeah.
There's at least 2 of ours that match.
Okay, we'll see. All right, I'll go first with my number 5. My first number 5 is the intro to Rise of Skywalker. My boy. I love Palpatine. For me, works the best when he hams it up and you let Ian McDiarmid just chew the scenery.
Like whenever he was talking about episode 3 with Mace Windu, and he was like,
"No, you will die."
And George's like, "Do it more, do it more."
He's
He's like,
faster,
fine,
more intense.
How about this? And he's like, perfect. It's like, but no, you're not gonna use that, are you?
Yeah. Ian McDiarmid talks about that on stage. He's like, okay, I'll do one that he definitely is gonna think is too much.
Yeah.
And that's the one he uses. But I personally, I love the long have I waited, and it also bookends with there's some abilities. The dark side of the Force leads. What's the exact line? I can't remember right now. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. He does that twice. He does it in episode 3. He does it in episode 9. And the first one is talking about saving the ones you love.
Yeah.
The last one is talking about keeping me alive. It really is what it is. And I'm the one I love.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And I love puppet Palpatine. Like he's up on strings.
When he's on the thing, yeah.
Like he's literally, it's like In Sync, in that one music video, but evil.
Yeah. Bye.
But I love that, with the nature of his voice, the way the light comes in and out, the way the flashes go in and out, Palpatine is all around us, and you just see this husk, this dead face with dead fingers, rotting flesh, and it's like, it feels like Palpatine is not here, he's here, and it's these are the abilities some consider to be unnatural. I just think it's an amazing opening for that movie. I love it. Yeah. I don't love all the Palpatine stuff in that movie, but
sure.
I love that intro. I have been every voice. And then it goes to Snoke, you've ever heard. And then Vader, inside your head. So good, man. I love that. So I'm going to put in there my top 5 moments. That's number 5.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I think for my 5, I will go with the because I didn't list these in any certain order at first. So I'm gonna say it's, you know what? I'll go with the you're saying that your number 5 is the second time they say that line. I'm gonna go with my number 5 is the first time they say that line with the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Okay, well that's one line. All right.
I knew that was gonna be.
Of course, it's gonna be.
It has to be somewhere.
Why
right?
would it not be?
It's such a good story. The way he says it.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
And it just goes so well with what makes Palpatine so good, right?
Yeah.
He has that charismatic moment. He's enticing. He's convincing Anakin of these things to the point where later on he can be like, "Oh well, I'm the Sith."
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well," and he doesn't arrest him or kill him or do anything. Yeah. He goes away and gets some other people to do it, But he has such a way with words, and that little story that he tells there in front of that water bubble opera thing that they have going on.
It's a Mon Cal opera, yeah.
Yeah. It's such a good moment. And
Ian
really,
McDiarmid, someone asked him, is Palpatine ever do anything good, or what's he do for fun? And Ian McDiarmid's like, well, it would seem he likes opera. And I played it like he really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
He loves, maybe him and Thrawn could go to an opera.
Yeah. So I'll say that one is probably
Okay.
my number 5, just because it's a very classic and awesome.
Oh, yeah. Is it possible to learn this power?
Not
from a Jedi.
Is it any or just a
It's
Jedi?
not from a Jedi.
Not from a Jedi.
Not from a, you know why I love that scene so much? Obviously, us that know everything can enjoy that scene. But I love the scene because George Lucas is also thinking about the most important part of the audience, the kids that don't know everything. They have no idea that Sidious and Palpatine are the same person. And like we like to, a lot of us like, no one thought of that, but kids today, like there are kids today that would say, I had no idea until it happened in episode 3 later in the movie.
Sure.
But he has to write that scene and not make kids think like, how does he know secret Darth Plagueis stuff? He just has to play it like, oh, yeah, well, I'm at an opera. I enjoy art and literature and stories. And since I'm here consuming art, let me tell you about another story about art. It's a little hidden thing that a lot of us don't really think about.
Yeah.
But the kids are like, well, that makes sense. He's at an opera.
Yeah, he's at art.
He's going to be talking about ancient stories and stuff that we pass on. That's not him. It's not conspiracy theory.
Silly.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons I like that so much.
That's been one of my things of wanting to like with my kids and stuff,
Yeah.
like trying to get through before spoilers or anything
Sure,
too.
yeah.
And I think you still can kind of get in Empire Strikes Back. What does he call the Emperor? Is he just called the Emperor in Empire Strikes Back?
Just the Emperor. Yeah.
Like that's
They don't even say Palpatine in the entire original trilogy.
I don't remember it being there at all. So that's what
Yeah.
I was wondering. But like
Master and Emperor.
watching through that and cutting back to it and stuff too, as long as you don't really know, you only get that hologram moment.
Yep.
Like you probably don't realize necessarily as a kid until you get to like episode 3 and having that reveal of switching it over and the Emperor and you're like, oh my God, look at his face, you know? Like,
yeah. I've
just
watched
fun to have
a decent amount. I mean, I have to trust that they're telling the truth, but decent amount of like adults reacting to the prequels, having only watched the original trilogy, or even ones that were watching 1, 2, and 3 and then going in the original trilogy. But like they always guess that Palpatine is the Emperor.
Sure.
But some of them it takes a little bit. And I remember one person.
a little longer than
I remember there being one reaction. It took until the Plagueis story. I was like, I think he's the Sith, and I love that. I love that Lucas and Ian McDiarmid. He talks about how the entire time he did press for the prequels, he never said that he played both of those characters.
Yeah.
He only would say that he's playing the one you know about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a lot of respect for that. And, I mean, Lucas is right. Like, we all, as adults, when we're experiencing these new stories, like to talk about, well, I didn't like this part, and I didn't like this, But it's really about, well, what do the kids think?
Yeah.
They're the ones that are 20 years later they're gonna be fighting about the new stuff, and their kids are gonna be enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Well, so after Plagueis, I took one of yours. So I don't know. Do you want to use that as your 4, or do you have?
I'll throw that as my 4.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll be moving on to 3.
Okay.
And it is Palpatine tries to break Yoda through visions. It is the
Clone Wars?
The Clone Wars, what was the final Clone Wars arc in the Lost Stories. But yeah, I love the Palpatine Dooku trying to break Yoda. Yoda has gone on this spiritual quest, and he is on Korriban, or Morabon as it's called then.
Yeah.
And I love.
This is the one when he like falls, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that one. Like, I love that part of that scene there.
No, I just love that. I love whenever Palpatine like gets out his blue bowl of Sith magic, and he does cool stuff with it. Mm-hmm. We don't get to see that almost ever, But he does it here. He's like, we'll be given no red chance. And that was when it was Tim Curry, too. Yeah. So Tim Curry spoke a little more like this as Palpatine, it's a little different.
I like his Palpatine better than his Chancellor.
No, I liked the previous guy a little bit more, but Tim's Palpatine. His Palpatine's not great. His Sidious is awesome, but his Palpatine's not the best. But I love him so much anyway. I didn't really care that much. But there was specifically something about the way that he's taunting Yoda, trying to break him, like even to the point like, I'm going to take Anakin Skywalker away from you. What are you going to do about it? And Yoda, has to overcome those feelings, but it has to be done in a way where Yoda can't see it before it happens. In a way, right? Like the feeling is there, the impending doom is there, but he looks at he looks at Sidious the way the 7 and 8-year-olds watch those movies. I can't see his face. I think it's one of the few moments we actually get to see Sidious doing things, and the characters cannot see his face and experience who he is. You figure Yoda, as short he is, looking up into the sky, holding light,
right,
we'll be able to see it.
Look at that chin.
Yeah, look, I see him. I see that chin every Saturday when we go and we talk to the Chancellor. But no, he can't, because this is a vision, and Palpatine won't let him.
Right.
Yeah. It's one of the few displays we get, not just of of dark side power, but specifically Sith sorcery. And it's that Sith sorcery, Ken Beaumont talks about it in episode 9. It's like cloning, Sith magic. I don't know how he's back, but it's something. So whenever we get like little elements into what Sith sorcery is and how Palpatine uses it, it's always up in my list. So that's my number 3.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Let's see. Number 4, I have as I took the Luke Palpatine scene from Return of the Jedi. Okay, you can take it. That's good. It's just I love the cadence he has. Like, there's different aspects. There's the I'm afraid to be quite operational when your friends arrive.
Yeah, he's so mocking.
I love the way he plays that. And yeah, it is. It's like, there's nothing you can do. I'm going to win. You want this, don't you?
Yeah.
And he is. And then as they fight and stuff, you get them like, you get the laughing thing. And there's those levels of him where it's like, I know I'm good right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna win. I'm gonna mock you. Now I'm enjoying it.
Right.
And it just has that build up to the point to where it's like, all right, fine, I'm just gonna kill you now. And he just shocks him with lightning and stuff. And I was just,
dude, you ever think about, like, I wasn't robbed, but I never didn't know he could throw lightning.
I don't know.
Because I grew up just having already watched Star Wars, pretty much, is how I feel.
I feel like that, too, with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember not knowing, the Empire Strikes Back twist,
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember not knowing, he's his father? I didn't know that.
But could you imagine, watching Episode 6 in theaters? I mean, I don't know if there's anybody on the chat or in the audience that remember, but I can't think of how I would feel, where it's like this old man gets off, rise, my friend. I'm like, okay, this guy must be pretty badass. I mean, he's ordering Vader around, but he ain't no Vader. Look at Vader.
Yeah, right.
He's giant, huge. He's got a laser sword. Look, what's this guy got?
Yeah.
And and he's like mocking, and he's like, he's like mocking Luke. It's like, you can't. Luke's my hero. I'm gonna beat this guy down, and then he throws lightning at your face.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what it's like to have seen that for the first time. Had no idea that dude can throw lightning at you.
It's got to be a pretty.
It's
cool
got to
deal,
be like,
right?
Oh my god. Okay, I get it.
No wonder.
I understand.
He's so strong.
Because before lightning. He's just like, he throws he just takes off Luke's handcuffs. And from afar away, and I'm like, I've seen Vader do more than that.
Yeah, Vader chokes people and stuff, or they communicate through
Luke
space.
Luke just choked some pigs early in the movie.
Yeah, right. He just went like.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he just lights them up. I just wonder how that felt in the theater the first time watching, because I never got it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But you're right. It's if you're gonna put all of that into one moment, all of the
I just love that. I was thinking about it too, and I was like, is that like one moment? Is that cheating and stuff? I don't know. I'm taking that. That's what I'm gonna do.
Sure.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And it also is the culmination of like where the original trilogy has been coming to, and you get that there where it's all built up, and like now the Emperor's here, he's the boss, and we get to finally really meet who this Emperor is. Not just he's talking as a hologram head, or he's like walking, being like, you know, whatever. I forget what he says when he first gets there and stuff. But I remember Vader being like, "Oh, he's not as forgiving as I am." You know, I was like, "Oh, damn, who's this guy?" You know?
Okay, yeah.
And then you're just some old guy in a hood with a cane. You're like, who is this guy? So yeah.
I know Dave Filoni talks about, in one of those Disney Gallery things that they do on Disney Plus, talked about how afraid he was of the Emperor when he says the line, "You, like your father, are now mine," and how terrified it made him as a child to think that someone could own your dad. Like we are brought into this world looking for an authority figure, and it's generally your parents, and your parents can do anything. Your dad's the strongest person there is, and he can beat all other dads and all that stuff. And the idea that someone could take and own your dad is like the most, like, to an innocent child, is like, you've taken my power structure away. And that's terrifying. Like, so if Star Wars is, or at least was primarily a story for 8-year-olds, like, that's a pretty scary villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Robbie had an interesting point, being like, probably the same way you feel when Kylo stops a blaster bolt in The Force Awakens, when he just freezes that blaster bolt.
Yeah, man.
Like,
that was such a charged moment when we watched that the first time in theaters. Ugh.
Like, that's probably the same idea of, like, the lightning.
I always remember, like, Poe, like, looking back at it, like, hey, is that frozen?
Yeah, right.
No one's talking about that. You can do that.
That's strong.
Yeah.
All right. Do we go to your 2 or my 3?
Go to your 3.
My 3 is from Rebels, when Palpatine is like, you talk about his little bowl of blue magic, and he's reaching those hands and flames through the world between worlds. I just love it.
I know.
And you're like, they're just running away from him and stuff. And like that, I don't know why, but that part is so
I know why.
fun and cool.
It's because the world between worlds, when it was introduced, and we were shocked that this is something that could happen. Literally, when it happens, the worst thing that could happen would be if Palpatine found out about this. And guess what? Here comes the blue flames and the cackle. And you're like, oh, no.
No. Get out of here.
It's like discovering a powerful weapon, and then someone just like, oh, I'll take that. That's mine now. And the guy that takes it is already the most powerful person in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying. That's a good moment.
Yeah.
And it really feels like Ezra and Ahsoka escape
by the
skin of their teeth.
Oh, man, they're going to get caught.
Or I should say, push him out by the skin of their teeth.
It had Ezra at one point. Yeah. Like, Ahsoka had to save him and stuff.
Yeah, that's
so,
a good one.
I really enjoy that part.
Yeah.
Like whenever we first talk about like, hey, think about your top 5 Palpatine moments. Like one of the first ones I thought of was that scene.
Really?
I'm like, well, that needs to be one of my top 5.
Gotcha.
Because it's one of the first things that came to my mind is that one.
That's a great one.
All right, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is Sidious hears about the Shadow Collective on Mandalore and says, I'm going to go do something about that. It's Sidious versus Maul and Savage. Not only one of my favorite lightsaber fights, but also some of my favorite lines from Palpatine, some of my favorite lines from Maul, like, there is no mercy. And he just lights him up like he lit up Luke. But
and the fight's so good,
The fight's so good because what it does, it captures the same feeling you get in Episode 3 when he finally can just stretch his Sidious muscle and like his voice is going in and out, like, you now should be known as Darth Vader. like he hasn't spoken that way in a while, so it feels like it's coming to him and it's like washing over him.
Yeah.
And then when Yoda comes in, my little green friend, he's having too much fun. Mm-hmm. And in that fight with Maul and Savage, they cannot measure up to him. Both of them together are nothing to him, and he's having so much fun.
Yeah, he just wipes the floor with them,
I love that part when Savage or then they push him off the balcony. He goes, and he grabs them, and they fall off too. Yeah. It's great. He's like a tornado, and way better tornado than the tornado he was in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
He just comes out.
No,
that one's scary.
I feel like we get to see so much more, and it's probably because it's animated, but we get to see so much more of that fight than we do of Episode 3.
And also, I mean, the Episode 3 fight, we'll get to our list of things we don't like about Star Wars too, but that's high up on my list. Sure. I think the Mace Palpatine fight's one of the worst lightsaber fights ever.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'll take that Maul Savage fight
off your list.
Off my list.
What number was it?
It was one, but I'll maneuver some things. I have one extra one that I had written here, and I'll put it as number 2. And my number 2, I'll put
Irish Nexus. You're right. That's one of my favorite lines too. Like, there can only be 2 Lords of the Sith, and you are no longer my apprentice. You have become my rival.
No, it's such a good moment.
Yeah,
that's why I had that on there too, just because I love that fight. I feel like that really feeds Darth Maul's fear, especially later on in Season 7 when he's like, he's gonna kill him. Yeah. He's like freaking out. It's like, let me go. We're all gonna die.
And I always like to take those moments and try to okay, what does that inform us about the character that we didn't know before? Whenever he considers Maul a rival, he immediately goes out and kills him or takes him out of commission. Mm-hmm. That means that he considers no one else a rival. And if you get to that level, he'll do something about it. No. Think about all the people that he long-conned for 20, 30 years. Yeah. He does not consider them a peer. He is above them always.
I think, too, is the thing you get there is Darth Maul, and we learn in Season 7 for sure, is he has some awareness of what is going to happen, and he's like a loose thread that he hasn't planned for necessarily, right? Yeah. Whereas so many other aspects of it, whether they're other senators or the Jedi or whatever, he feels like he has a good control and can weave them to where he wants them to go. But Darth Maul is like a wild card that was supposed to have died back on Naboo, you know, and he didn't. And not only is he out there after Obi-Wan, he's doing other things that he's like, this is gonna mess some stuff up.
Yep.
And I can't have him affecting my chosen one that's gonna be my apprentice.
Yeah.
So no, it's a really good moment. It's really important to that whole storyline, I think.
That was my number 2.
All right, yeah. Well, then my number 2, I will pick from Episode 3.
Oh my God. Okay.
Of the we just had Anakin and Dooku fighting, and there's Palpatine enticing and convincing Anakin to do it.
Good,
you know?
Anakin, good.
Now kill him.
Now kill him. Dooku's like, wait, huh?
Yeah, I know. The look that Dooku gives there is like...
Dooku's like, and he looks back at Anakin, and he looks back at like,
Yeah. Bitch, say what? It's that moment there where he's just like, it's another one of those feeding from like when we talked about the tale of Plagueis and stuff too, right? It's like, I'm pushing and prodding at Anakin. I will get him to fall to the dark side more and more. It's like, and it even leads, it really mirrors later on where it's kind of like, I really should arrest him. And then
it's not the Jedi way.
And you get like he's too dangerous to be left alive, from like Mace Windu and against Sidious. And you're kind of mirroring those moments and stuff there. And it's like, I really like that moment. It was kind of in my honorable mentions before, but I didn't know where I wanted to put it.
I love that one.
But it's a really good one. And there's so many times that we've just quoted like, do it. And like it's not exactly the same, but it makes me think of when he came out and he's like, roll it again.
Roll it again. Oh, dude, that was such a hype moment.
Like, that's not a Palpatine moment per se, but...
Yeah. Yeah, man, that moment's worth so many. It's worth 10, somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah.
Roll it again.
But
though, could you possibly imagine if, I don't know how, obviously they had to do it that way, but if they never, ever said anything about Palpatine returning, and the first time you sit there and the credits roll and it says, the dead speak, Emperor Palpatine has returned, everybody in the thing like, what? Like, that'd be kind of an interesting moment. Like, the title, the Star Wars titles, the one, you've seen 9 of these things.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, it got you.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool, but I can understand them being like, there's no way we can keep this a secret.
It's either that or, like, the marketing of this will be better for us to get stuff out there,
Yeah.
So.
But there's in an alternate world where they said nothing about it. I think that people would go, like, obviously, it would be one of those things that's spoiled immediately by people. But for people like us that, want to stay unspoiled as much as possible, what a moment that would have been.
Oh, yeah. Would have been great.
It would have been like the Grogu moment. Like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, there's a Baby Yoda.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God, how did they lost so much money by not marketing this. And they did.
Yeah.
And then they made it back.
Got it back.
And then they're like, oh, man, we immediately need to bring him back into Book of Boba Fett.
So, all right, well, that's my number 2. I'm fairly confident my number 1 won't be your number 1. So
okay.
I think I'm good. So
all right, my number 1 is Palpatine tempts Ezra at the Lothal Temple.
No, I'm kidding.
My God, okay.
From the Lothal Temple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the hologram Palpatine that's like digital makeup, because we know he doesn't look like that anymore. But he'll make himself appear to that. Maybe he like video conferences into like certain like delegations and stuff, looking real nice, But then you have those elements where like it flickers and you see the devil under him. It's very Lucifer Morningstar. The devil comes to you as an angel and then burns you with his fire later.
Yeah.
Ah, man, so good. Mm-hmm. When you can do something new with Palpatine, and that felt new when that happened. I was just so excited. And
he does like force from across the galaxy, right? Because like he take off his cuffs.
He takes off his cuffs,
or he like pushes a button or does stuff.
Exactly.
And it's like, he's been Coruscant,
Yeah. Like in Episode 6 when he takes off loose cuffs, it's like, well, you're right there,
Yeah.
But if he did that from,
Naboo.
Yeah, exactly, Naboo, I'd be like, huh?
Heck, even on Endor, right? Like if he'd have been on Endor, I'd be like, and then his cuffs fell off, I'd be like, whoa. What?
I mean, to be fair, Vader did choke Ozzel like from like a system away. He was in the same system, but they were pretty far away.
Space, sure,
but this is Lothal to, I assume, Coruscant.
You're probably taking hyperspace to get like for a little bit.
Like there's no lag in the Force, like it didn't like. You know how the speed of light is meant to be like the speed limit, like even gravity doesn't would travel at the speed of light. Like if the sun went out right now, it takes 8 minutes for light to get to us, right? So we wouldn't know for 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. So some people will think like, okay, well we would know though because it would we could feel the Earth just leave the orbit, right? It's like no, the Earth will spin around nothing for 8 minutes because gravity can't hit you yet. But the Force apparently has no speed limit. It happens instantaneously. So yeah, it's a powerful moment, and I just like I said, I just love when Palpatine is a tempter, a deceiver, a liar. But the only way for that to work is if it feels like it's true. Yeah, like it is going to happen. Like whenever he says, "Rise, my friend," in Episode 6. Every time I watch, I'm like, well, yeah, he's buddies. They're buddies, you know? They're not buddies. He thinks so low of Vader, you know? But he lies to you.
But it makes him feel better, or makes you feel more confident, or you know, oh, okay, he's my friend, and okay.
And I'm like Palpatine knows what Ezra's gone through so far in the World Between Worlds. He knows that, like I would assume, he knows that there is a possibility you could be with your parents again. So when he throws that temptation out there, like, he's not lying in a way. Like, he might be able to do it. He will screw you over, of course. Ezra might not know the levels in which he'll lie and screw you over. But as a viewer, I have to believe that, well, if Ezra does take this deal, like, there might be a chance that does happen. Palpatine might reward him for it. You never know.
Yeah.
So he's just because he looks more like kind Ian McDermott in white pajamas. I go, oh, maybe trust him. He's the devil of Star Wars. Don't trust him.
Don't trust him. No.
So that's my number one moment. I don't know why. It just is. I think of that moment all the time. I watch that scene a lot.
Yeah. No, it's really good, and it's great for Ezra. Like, I love that scene for Ezra. I love that because, like, what he gives up in that moment, or what he's tempted by that he gives up, I guess. Because I don't know if he could have really been given anything like that. It felt like it was all just a trick, you know. But it also kind of it makes you think of, like, Clone Wars and the prequels of, like, the old Palpatine who just looked like this and would talk to you face to face, but really underneath all that's the Emperor that's hiding, and it's just cool to have that within that hologram and have it flicker and stuff. It's really cool. It was done very well in that animation style that they did. Like, I don't know if you could have done it, I guess, in live action, but it was just so neat to have that hologram thing. All right.
We got a number one for you.
My number one.
Yes.
My number one, I can't really name it from being, like, from a specific one thing.
Okay.
And it's also kind of a weird, unique one, I think. This is from Palpatine, where he is met against, I think, the only thing that he may not have ever been able to defeat. Right? Like, Palpatine takes on a lot of stuff, and he beats everything he ever comes across.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing he could never beat is the Zillo Beast.
The Zillo Beast!
And he...
I was sitting over here going, like, what's his number one? We've covered everything great.
The Zillo Beast is this creature that shows up, and it takes him, and they're trying to save him, and I don't think he could have beat this thing.
Yeah.
And when it finally goes down, he decides to use it, and he sends it away for cloning and stuff, and it happens, and they do that.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily one like, moment, but it's the fact that he finds something that I don't think he could control, but once he has access to it, he's going to use it to every advantage he can. Yeah. And I feel like that's what Palpatine does with everything he can find, right?
Something ancient, an ecosystem that should not be disturbed, like the Republic, like the Jedi, like the Zillo Beast, and that was on the Dug planet, right?
Yeah, Malastare.
Malastare. And he discovers it, finds it, dissects it, studies it, clones it, takes it for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, Palpatine is nothing if not the most egotistical politician. Well, I know some pretty egotistical politicians, but he's like the most egotistical character in Star Wars. Everything is like, he's the opposite of a Jedi. It's not, I fight so that you may have these passions. Like, no, I want the passions, and I want this and that, and your chosen one, and your government, and all of your money, and your people, and your son, and your father. It's all mine. Everything.
All of it.
You're Godzilla.
Yeah,
I'm taking your Godzilla too.
But he's faced with this one, and it's like he's held by it. I don't even think, like, if he used all of his Sith powers, I don't know if he could have done anything with it, right? Like, lightsabers weren't affecting it, you know? Like, it took a lot to take this thing
what would
down.
Palpatine do against, like, that thing in the in Solo when they're doing the...
Oh, and inside the Kessel Run?
In the Kessel Run?
Right? Like,
he can't do anything against that,
yeah,
right?
I don't know. Could you electrify it? I don't know.
I mean, maybe you could do, like, a...
They
try to, like, you know, but...
They, like, threw it in a black hole.
Yeah. Like, I don't think you could do anything about that. So, yeah, there are things more powerful than him, but...
Yeah, but I love,
just stay out of black holes.
I think, one, is just, like, I love the fact that it was used and came back, but two, like, it just... I think this also encapsulates... And this was... Originally, this one was in my number 2, and the other one was the Maul Savage one was my number 1.
Yeah.
But I think that really encapsulates him, and, like, I will use everything I can at my disposal to get whatever advantages I can, which includes where he's not just, like, trying to make sure he's more powerful, but also, like you said, like, I'm going to take your chosen one and make him my apprentice. Yeah. I'm going to take your Jedi crystal-making planet and turn it into a bigger Death Star.
base.
Like that's the things he would do.
I'm gonna take this blessed Force dyad, drain it, and become. I'm gonna take your body.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you have a secret granddaughter out there. Oh, cool. I'm taking her body. I'm taking everything.
I'm gonna take everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
I think
you had two
that.
like you did it for this reason and that reason, and your third reason is you held a candle for that Zillo Beast for so long, and I'd given up hope. But that moment when that came out and you're like, it's a Zillo Beast. I'm like, no, it's not. And then it was the Zillo Beast.
The Zillo Beast.
That was a triumph of the human spirit.
And I don't think the story's done with it yet.
Yeah.
I hope they bring it back again.
I think
more.
everybody else abandoned the Zillo Beast. Like, it's not ever happening. You're like, no, it's coming back. It's coming back. And then,
thank you, Dave.
Yeah. Jim, what a moment.
So
I forget about that moment sometimes, but when I remember, it's a good
I
memory.
jumped around. I usually don't jump around or anything.
I know.
Yay!
All right. Well, that was fun. That was a good discussion about good old Sheev Palpatine.
Yeah.